November 4th, 2024. Headquarters of Schneider Electric, a company with $40 billion in annual revenue. On their computers, a ransom note has just appeared. The demand, $125,000. Paid in baguettes. Not Monero or Bitcoin. Not a wire transfer routed through 6 shell companies to an account no one can trace. Baguettes, as in bread, that long thin kind. France is famous for them, and the note makes a point of this, because Schneider Electric is headquartered in France. The attackers are also offering a discount. Publicize the breach within 48 hours and the bread bill gets cut in half. Inside Schneider systems, the damage is extensive. 40 gigabytes stolen from the company's internal project management platform, 400,000 rows of user data, 75,000 unique email addresses. Sometime in the previous 24 hours, someone had walked straight through the front door. Within 2 days, the story is everywhere. Cyberscoop, The Register, Forbes, Dark Reading. Data breaches happen every single week and almost none of them make the news. But this was different. Nobody had ever asked to be paid in bread before, and that was kind of the point. Schneider makes an announcement and confirms the breach. This is their 3rd major cyber attack in under 2 years. They've mobilized their incident response team. Their spokesperson says very little. They don't negotiate with terrorists and they don't pay in baguettes. Somewhere in the Middle East, a teenager is watching this unfold. He's only 17 years old. He sent the demand himself and he can't believe it's actually working. His name online is Priex. Over the following months, he and a small group of hackers calling themselves Hellcat hit Israel's parliament, a US telecom provider, one of Spain's largest corporations, and allegedly touched systems inside the United States Department of Defense. They became the most discussed hacker group in the world. Nobody knew who they were. At least, not yet. Tunisia, 2015. A truck filled with explosives is intercepted by the police. It was on its way to 2 churches frequented by British and Jewish tourists. The church was going to be used by ISIS in a suicide bombing terrorist attack. A hacktivist group called GhostSec has been monitoring ISIS communications and had warned the Tunisian police about this attack. A 7-year-old Tunisian kid is watching the news while this is happening. He doesn't understand what hacking is yet, but he understands that somewhere, someone sitting at a computer had prevented something dangerous. Tunisia is a country most people couldn't really find on a map without trying. A narrow strip of North Africa with 12 million people. There's not a lot of opportunities, not a lot of obvious way outs. The internet is one. For now, this Tunisian kid is just that. A kid. His name later is gonna be Priex. 2018. A 10-year-old kid has just found something. An underground forum called Black Forums. A community where people are doing things he can't fully understand yet, but he can't stop reading about it. On Black Forums, he meets someone who goes by Sebastian. Sebastian just so happens to be the founder of GhostSec. Priex meets the person who built the organization and stopped the terrorist attack in his country. They're still close friends to this day. By 2019, someone in those groups hands him something unexpected. Live access to a Pakistani government system. Not something simple like some random credentials, but an actual entrance to a real government institution. He's 14 years old and he starts exploiting it. The following years, he's breaching small companies, but by 2021, he's inside corporations generating billions of dollars in annual revenue. The very kind of companies with dedicated security teams whose entire job is to stop people like him. He's doing all of this as a teenager. By By June of 2024, Pryax is active on XSS, one of the largest Russian cybercrime forums on the internet. The forum runs periodic competitions. Write the best technical piece, win a cash prize. Pryax enters. He writes about an information stealer he's built from scratch. Most info stealers harvest passwords and session data directly on the victim's machine. Pryax's version does something different. It plants a hidden Tor service on the victim's computer, then routes all the processing remotely through his own server. The stolen data travels through an anonymous channel. Once again, he's doing this when he's only 17 years old. A few months later, Pryax breaches a university called Rowan College and puts up a post on breach forums to sell the data he stole. A few hours after he puts that post up, another user called Emo leaks all the data from the breach for free. The reason Emo did it is pretty simple. He just wanted to piss off Pryax. And so Pryax makes a simple decision. He wants Emo gone from breach forums. Not just banned, but completely ruined. Confronting him would be too easy, so he builds a story. He gets close to a user named Komi. He earns their trust over time. That's when he plants an idea. Emo has been secretly extorting Komi for $200. He tells the story carefully enough that Komi believes it completely. There's no evidence to dispute it because Prix didn't leave any, so Komi believes that Emo has actually been extorting him for $200. Then something else happens that Pryax didn't expect. Emo and his friends dox a 15-year-old kid named Podings. They make a post to pretend like it was Pryax who did the doxing. That was a big mistake because now Pryax has something to work with. A thread on X. Emo made a post claiming he was behind the dox. He wasn't. Emo is known for extorting minors. Here's a screenshot of Emo's crew extorting Komi. Here's proof they doxed the 15-year-old and try to frame someone else for it. For a community built entirely on distrust, where not a single person vouches for anyone, and where reputation is the only currency that matters, Pryax has just somehow made himself out to be the one person with integrity. But that doesn't mean he can afford to trust anyone else, because he can't. And he trusts almost no one. Almost. Mid-2024. Before there even is a Hellcat, there are just 3 people who haven't met yet. Meet Ray. He's operating on breach forums under the alias Hiki-chan, posting data leaks and building a reputation as someone with access to things most people don't have. He's based in Amman, Jordan, and he's pretty loud about his politics. He's pro-Palestine and anti-Israel, and he doesn't hide it either. But for now, he's been getting into some trouble. Some of his early posts are later identified by researchers as repackaged leaks and not original breaches. His credibility takes a hit, but he doesn't really seem to care. And his computer is currently infected with an info stealer. But he doesn't know that yet. The second person to meet is Grep, who also goes by DNA. He operates in the orbit of Intel Broker, the administrator of breach forums and one of the most prolific people in the cybercrime world. But Grep isn't just some random hacker. Earlier in 2024, he was personally responsible for breaches of Dell and Capgemini. He's technically gifted, well-connected, and by mid-2024, he's looking for something bigger. And then lastly, there's Pryax, who by September of 2024 has already executed what becomes the largest data breach in the history of Barbados. Yes, the country of Barbados. 230 gigabytes of uncompressed data exposing the country's entire citizenry. Anything from ID cards to passports, driver's licenses, and personal photographs. October 2024. They decide on a name. Hellcat. The ideology behind Hellcat comes together almost immediately. The minimum threshold for targets is $5 billion in annual revenue. They want companies large enough that a breach is genuinely damaging, and wealthy enough that paying 6 figures is a rational business decision. Their model is called double extortion. Get the data out first, then encrypt the systems. Think of it like a kidnapper who, before locking you in a room, has already made copies of everything in your house. The idea is that ransom not only restores access to locked files, but it also keeps the files off of the internet. But even that seemingly wasn't enough for the group, because Pryax goes on to build something no ransomware group has ever built before. See, most ransomware operations run their negotiations through dark web portals, which law enforcement can monitor, seize, and take offline. Pryax creates a negotiation panel that runs on the victim's own computer, communicating through a protocol called TOX. It's essentially a peer-to-peer encrypted channel with no central server for anyone to target. The panel deploys automatically with the ransomware. An employee opens a specific port, and suddenly they're in direct contact with the people who just locked them out. The first attack isn't about money. In October of 2024, their first target is Israel's parliament, Knesset. The breach is subpar by Hellcat's later standards, and the data taken isn't especially sensitive. But once again, that's not really the point. Pryax and Ray choose the target together and are explicit about the reasoning. It's completely political. Pryax describes it in his own words as a big middle finger to Israel. Most importantly, it's also proof of concept. It's proof that they can't come together and show that Hellcat is a real threat. The idea works. A few weeks later, a leak site goes up on the dark web. They build a reputation for following through. Other groups in the ransomware ecosystem start paying attention to them. Hellcat is doing this differently. The psychological pressure, the public shaming, the entire performance is new. But they're still not satisfied. They're looking for the next target. Something bigger. Something with enough name recognition that the ransom demand alone would make headlines. Something, maybe, headquartered in France. November 4th, the day of the Schneider Electric breach. The baguette demand wasn't ever a joke that got out of hand. It was a PR stunt. But the Schneider Electric breach isn't even close to the most serious one. In the weeks following, Hellcat moves quickly through its target list. A bank in Latin America, 500 gigabytes out of the US DoD, Orange Romania, Jaguar Land Rover. The group claims to have touch systems inside the UAE's largest institutions. The list grows faster than anyone could have possibly predicted. But there are two attacks that actually define what Hellcat is. The first is Pinger. Pinger is an American telecom provider. In November of 2024, Hellcat gets in through a compromised device on Pinger's network edge. It was access sourced from an affiliate who has been sitting on the vulnerability for weeks. The group finally decides it's their time to shine. What happens next is not typical ransomware behavior. Hellcat is inside, moving laterally through Pinger's internal systems, mapping the network. They locate the server rooms. They have everything in their hands. All they need to do now is press one button and it's over for Pinger. The power goes out. It was one of the Hellcat members that cut power to Pinger's physical server infrastructure. The screens go dark. The hum of the machines winds down. 11 terabytes of systems go offline in minutes. Inside the building, a weird noise starts going off. Out of all the equipment that was shut down, for some reason the printers come online. Across Pinger's offices, every networked printer begins running. Page after page, the same message gets printed. It's a ransom note. $150,000, payable in Monero or Bitcoin within a 96-hour window. 105 gigabytes of data have already been exfiltrated. If the payment doesn't arrive, it goes public. Data breaches are invisible, but paper isn't. They're forcing Pinger's employees to hold the evidence in their hands. January 9th, 2025. The target is Telefónica, Spain's national telecom company. One of the largest telecom companies on the planet. Pryax, Ray, and Greb get in through InfoStealer harvested credentials. Over the course of 2024, 15 Telefónica employees had been quietly infected. Their username and passwords were pulled from their machines by malware they never detected. Over 5,000 files taken, 236,000 lines of customer information, nearly 470,000 internal support tickets. The company's operational system pulled from right underneath them. Hellcat immediately posts everything on breach forums. For free. No ransom or demand of any kind. They don't really want any money from Telefonica. They want Telefonica's data to be public, and now it is. It almost seems deliberate. Pinger at least had a demand to respond to. Telefonica had nothing. They were completely screwed, and there was nothing they could do about it. Early 2025. Hellcat has been operational for roughly 6 months. Schneider Electric, Pinger, Telefonica, and more. They are, by most measures, the most famous new ransomware operation in the world. But this means a lot of people are now looking for them. Kela, a cybersecurity intelligence firm, has been doing just that. They specialize in connecting online identities across platforms and tracking every small movement done by threat actors. By early 2025, they found something substantial. The trail to Ray starts earliest. All the way back in February and March of 2024, months before Hellcat even existed, the Hikichan account was compromised. 2 times. Redline InfoStealer in February, Vidar in March. One of the infected machines appears to have been a shared device. Not Ray's, but a family computer. The malware doesn't discriminate though. It pulls browser sessions, saved credentials, usage patterns, everything. Enough to build a picture of a young man in Amman, Jordan. A potential real name, Saif. Priex is harder, but not impossible. Kela traces a network of aliases. Priex, Holy Priex, WeedSec, across forums, Telegram groups, and a dark web blog where Priex have been writing publicly for months. Arabic language activity, UAE-based infrastructure. A name surfaces in the intelligence assessment, Adem, possibly linked to the WeedSec alias that predates Priex by years, possibly based somewhere in Abu Dhabi. Hellcat doesn't know any of this is happening. February 22nd, 2025, 4:12 a.m. French cybercrime units storm an apartment near Paris. Inside, a 25-year-old British man named Kai West, better known online as Intel Broker, a member of Hellcat and the admin of breach forums. The admin of the very platform Hellcat had used to post its leaks, recruit its members, and build its name. He's halfway through dumping another corporate database when they come through the door. The FBI had been watching him for months. What destroyed him was a single transaction. An undercover agent had posed as a buyer, negotiating a deal for stolen healthcare records. Intel Broker had always demanded Monero, which is a cryptocurrency that scrambles every transaction completely, hiding the sender, the receiver, and the amount. But just once, he accepted Bitcoin instead. This damned him, since Bitcoin records every payment permanently on a public ledger. That $1,000 transaction gave the FBI a thread. They pulled it, and it led to a Coinbase account. The account led to a UK driving license. The license led to Kai West. He had sold Pentagon data, leaked millions of healthcare records, built a criminal empire across 2 years of near-perfect operational security, but it was all undone by $1,000 in the wrong currency. With breach forums seized in the aftermath, Hellcat loses access to its most public platform overnight. But that isn't actually what kills the group. The real reason is simpler and messier. Internal fights between the members. Arguments that had been building for weeks finally pulled the group apart from the inside. Whether those fights caused the FBI to seize the servers where Hellcat would post their breaches on, or whether the two events just so happened to collide in the same week isn't known. Hellcat had spent 6 months slowly building a reputation as the most feared new criminal group in cybersecurity. In a few weeks, everything fell apart, not from outside pressure, but from the inside. By spring of 2025, the X account goes silent. Telegram disappears. The dark web blog goes offline. The Hellcat leak site comes down. And the cybersecurity community is left sitting with one question. Where are they now? Ray founded a new group almost immediately after Hellcat disbanded. After the original owner was arrested in France, he took the liberty of recreating his group, Shiny Hunters. Same name, but a different approach. One of their first targets was Jaguar Land Rover. More recently, the Canvas breach. Greb's current status is unknown, most likely hitting some of the highest targets. With his ability to get in just about anywhere, there is not a doubt of how skilled he is. Keep an eye out for any big breaches, because that might just be him. Intel Broker, the breach forums administrator whose crew Greb came from, is currently in prison. And Priex, the teenager from Tunisia, is possibly now somewhere in the UAE. The person who built an undetectable infostealer at 17, who social engineered an entire criminal forum, who sent a $40 billion company a demand for $125,000 in bread. Well, he's working legally as a vulnerability researcher as of the making of this video. Where he's working is unknown, but he's now turned his life around. 6 months. That's how long Hellcat existed as an operational group. In that time, they breached a French energy giant, a national parliament, 2 of Europe's largest telecoms, and allegedly touched the US DoD. They built negotiation infrastructure no ransom group had built before. They forced corporations to rethink how they handled public pressure. And then they collapsed because the people inside the group stopped trusting each other. The most sophisticated new criminal operation in cybersecurity in 2024 was undone by the same things that end most things: people. What's harder to swallow is everything that didn't happen. Nobody from the core group is in custody. The tools Priex built still exist. The techniques, the psychological pressure, the theatrical demands, everything, those are still around somewhere being used. Priex was 17 when he sent the baguette demand. He's 19 now, and the movement he started can't be stopped.